Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the market close for Friday, January 10th. Holy banana bread. We got us a red day. We've got ourselves a very, very red day. What the heck is going on? Two words, jobs reports. So, as you guys may know, job reports on both sides of the borders dropped today. So up here in Canada, um, we added a lot more jobs than we were expecting. Down in the United States, they added even more than they were expecting. So that has caused a little bit of a market fluctuation. Now, you might be thinking, well, more jobs, unemployment coming down a wee bit. That's a good thing, right? Well, normally it is. However, in this case here, we're in a situation where we're looking at the rate cuts. So in Canada, we had about a 70% chance of a rate cut coming up here in January. Well, today's really good jobs report on the Canadian side of the border and that little dip we got in unemployment, that means that we no longer have a 70% chance of a rate cut. We only got about a 50% chance. So it's a 50-50 now whether or not we get a rate cut this month. On the US side, oh boy, they came in heavy. A lot of jobs added in December. Their chances of a rate cut. So we already knew, because everything's been going strong in the US, that we were probably, if lucky, going to get about 2 rate cuts this year. Well, the odds of a January rate cut, they were about 50-50 before this report came out. Now there's about a 2% chance that we'll see a rate cut in the US at the end of this month. So, in fact, some analysts are thinking we may not see a rate cut on the US side at all for the entire year. And let's just say the markets like rate cuts. They like seeing interest rates come down. So as a result of between the two reports, it drove the market deep into the red. So, oh boy, let's take a look. As you can see here with the TSX, we're now in the red for the month so far. We did push down below the blue line. So for today, we're down a full 1.33%. So there's probably lots of buy the dip opportunities out there. The S&P 500, it is also down big time, 1.60%. And you can see here's where the blue line is. So that is our break even for the month. We're way down. From that. NASDAQ also down under the line, 1.71% down. So not looking too good. The Dow Jones down 1.69. Now gold is okay because, when the markets are like this, people tend to start looking towards things that are hedges. And gold tends to be one of our favorites. So gold is up 0.73, silver up 0.72. Even oil, look at oil. Oil's up 3.13%. Not too shabby. Bitcoin is also up a little bit here, 2.43%. We got Ethereum up 1.38%. And we won't talk. Well, look at this MicroStrategy. Pretty much going to be the only tech company up, but they're holding a lot of Bitcoin. All right, let's take a look at the heat map, guys. Here is it's Canada's heat map. It's a bloodbath out there. We got a lot of things down. I mean, look at this. The railroads are both down. CNR down another 1.60%. Alimentation Couche-Tard down 1.53. Loblaw's down. Routers down. Constellation Software down. The banks, the Royal Bank down a full 1.78%. Yeah, not a lot of good. There's a small bucket of green down in here in our some of our energy mineral stocks. Like CNQ is up 1.07%. Imperial Oil, Suncor, even Tourmaline up a little bit. So there's a tiny island, a little oasis here in a very red day. Looking at the United States, it looks the same. A lot of deep red. Apple down big time. Nvidia is down a full 3.12%. Microsoft's down. Google's down. Amazon is down. Berkshire Hathaway is down. So yeah, we're having a pretty good red day here today. So lots of buy the dip opportunities. Different story in crypto. Crypto doing okay today. Mostly green across the board. Bitcoin up 2.38%. Ethereum's up. XRP's up a full 3.75%. Stellar 7.65%. Cardano's up as well. Of course, there's about 15,000 different oh, you know what, guys? I actually want to do the red. There's about 15,000 different crypto coins out there. I like to take a look at one of the, I call them crap coins, just because, you know, they're little, and a lot of times that's what they turn out to be. But this is a coin I probably have never heard of. Actually, I have heard of this. We've been on this. We've chose this one before. But P Network, take a look, guys. It's worth less than a penny. It's going down when the rest of the crypto market is going up. That's usually not a great sign. I always say be really careful with these small stocks like this. I call them crap stocks. They're pretty much the same as like I call them crap coins. They're pretty much the same thing as a penny stock. But I would probably be a little bit, I would wager my money on a penny stock before I would go into a crap coin. If you are going into something like P Network, read the white paper at the very least, and watch it like a hawk. Watch it like a hawk. I'm bullish on crypto overall, but the things you guys want to do, of course, is stay in your lane. Stay in the good coins. You know, your Bitcoins, your Ethereums, even Dogecoin. And, you know, 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been throwing Dogecoin in that category. But yeah, absolutely. All right. We got about 9 minutes to the bell. Let's zip over here for a second. And all right. We got Jonathan in the house first. Am I late for a little market correction? No. And no, I think we're all experiencing this red that we're getting today. Stan is in the house with a happy Friday. Funny Books says, hello, hello, hello. It is nice. It is nice to see you here. Larry saying, Intel at $19 again. It's been playing $19 to $20.80 about twice a week. Time to draw from the well again. So you're long 4,500 shares. May not be a bad deal. I do expect Monday to see some of this sum up. We're probably going to see some green on Monday. It comes down to, here's the funny thing. When we have a big day like this and we have a driver, it usually means that we've gone a little bit too far. And Monday will usually get, at the very least, if Monday turns into a red day, we're still probably going to see green in the bottom half of it. It may drift back to the red, but I think we'll definitely see a green morning on Monday at the very least. I'm hoping it stays green because, you know, people just needs to calm down. Like right now, the market is being driven on fear. And when that happens, you tend to get a lot of red. Mario is in the house with a good afternoon. We got Anchor Tours with a hello. Funny Book says, I heard about the underweight meat at Loblaws and other grocery stores. Loblaws down a bit. Yeah, so if you haven't heard that news story, when you weigh the meat, you're supposed to weigh the meat without the packaging. Because, you know, the amount that's stamped on the meat is for the meat. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying for the packaging. But it looks like there was a bit of a, let's say, a snafu over at the Loblaws, where, and I think this was only in Western Canada, they were weighing the packaging too. So you're being charged a little bit more than you should have. So they were making a little bit of extra money. Of course, they said, oh, we're going to fix it. It was all a big mistake. Hopefully it was, and not just them trying to milk out a few more profits. But yeah, it's funny. It happened. I didn't realize that it was going on in some other stores as well. So that's kind of interesting. Larry says, Biden is sanctioning Russian energy ships, making energy go up. I bought puts on oil and natural gas for April since Trump will drop what Biden just did. Yeah, pretty much. Trump has so many things he's going to do the first day, but if it's anything like last time, if I remember the last time when he first got in, he was spending a lot of time using executive orders to cancel all kinds of Biden stuff, or sorry, Biden stuff, Obama stuff. This time it'll be Biden stuff. Fart coin. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love it. Those ones really stink. Those ones definitely really, really stink. Mary says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mary. Hey, Mary's here, guys. That means I'm going to have some coffee because you guys are all going to be busy hitting that like button because, you know, Mary will be like, come on, guys, hit that button. Oh, so good. So good. All right, Larry is here. Actually, I already know Larry's here. Larry says, whoa, they are charging with the package like drug dealers. Yeah, kind of. Now, guys, I put out a short yesterday. It's actually funny. I had no intention of doing that. So somebody in the community said, hey, could you just maybe make a short or something of that time that Starbucks came in and did all of those funky, those funky super stickers. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. So I did. It's on the shorts. So if you guys haven't seen it, that's from this really crazy stream that, and Starbucks came in and here's the funny thing. I have no idea. Like, I actually thought that it might have been a Starbucks ad bot because I had my Starbucks cup mug back then and I was showing it all the time. But it came through and then never saw the Starbucks bot again. But Banana Bread Co. showed up after that. So I don't know if Banana Bread Co. and Starbucks are the same person. I don't know. They could be. Now, there's developing news in this, though. For the longest time, I've been trying to figure out, okay, who is this? Who is this person? And, many of you guys, at one point or another, have been a suspect. So, and then I would be like, well, no, that person wasn't on during that stream. Banana Co. showed up during that stream. So I have come one step closer to finding the identity of Banana Co. So I'm going to say this. I have discovered the identity of the Starbucks person. So I know who Starbucks is because they made a tiny error that I didn't catch when it happened. I caught it yesterday, though, when I was making this thing because somebody asked me to do it. So I now know who did the Starbucks. And I'm not going to say who it is. I know that you guys are all dying for curiosity. But I basically want to make sure that because whoever it is, they're hiding their identity and having some fun with it. And they're probably okay if you guys know, but I want to make sure they're okay with it before I release their name. But I will tell you, I was absolutely late to the game when it comes to figuring out who the Starbucks account was. And if it wasn't for somebody yesterday requesting that short, I would have completely still been in the dark. But I figured that out. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So that, of course, moves that person to the front of the list in my suspects for Banana Co. It doesn't mean that they are Banana Co., but they're a high suspect for sure. All right. Tim says, let's see, can a current U.S. president be removed if found guilty of corruption? It really depends. I mean, that's going to be, I think, really situational. There are crimes, for example, that a U.S. president could commit that would definitely probably get them removed. Treason definitely would. Corruption, I think it's going to be really situational because, of course, today we had the verdict come down for Donald Trump, and he was found. He is guilty, so he's convicted, but they kind of gave him an unconditional sentence. So basically, he's maintaining that he's a felon, but there's no probation or jail time or any of that stuff coming down for him. And the judge actually said, I'm not doing this because of you. I'm doing this because of the office of president. So it's kind of interesting, like how far can a president go? Um, I think I think I think they couldn't go as far as they can go now, because I know there was, I think the Supreme Court overturned a few things that sort of basically said if you're committing pretty much anything that you do, even if it's illegal, in the act of your office, I think is pretty much kind of now gray. I think most of it is completely forgivable. Whoops, it's time. There we go. The bell happened. I almost got distracted. Funny Book says the bell. Yes, the bell. Absolutely. Yeah, so that, I mean, it's I'm not an expert on US law for sure, but I think there has to be a line in there somewhere. And that's that thing. How far, I mean, in the case of Trump, I mean, he's crossed a lot of lines, and he's fine. So yeah, it would have to be. I think we're at a point now that it would probably have to be something along the lines of treason if you wanted to get a sitting president. Now there might be a few other things. Like I think if he were to, let's say he picked up a gun and shot someone, that probably, I don't know if he could walk away from that. I don't think he could. So I think there's still definitely lines, but where they are, I don't have the foggiest, Tim. No idea. So guys, yikes. I am changing up a few little things here. So on the weekend, on Sunday, we of course have our this week. So I'm gonna try something a little bit different. Only with the signage thing, like how I do my little pictures. I've kind of changed them a little bit so that I don't have to create like a short little version of me. And I think this will give me a better control so that if we're in the middle of the news, we can go to the charts and things like that. But I'll show you guys. So give me a sec. Let me pull this up here. I can show you this one here. So yeah, I brought it up like this. So now it's a little smaller and it just sits over there in the corner, and we can do that without me having to do anything. And then I can like do this and then bring stuff up nice and easy. See, I can go back and go back. So there we go. It makes it just so much easier, because the last thing, and I've always hated it. I've always hated that when somebody asks me to look at something and I'm like, no, it's going to mess everything up if I go. But now we can go and we can check things out. No problem at all. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We will check. Guys, we will check the market here in about 15 minutes, because the NASDAQ is delayed by 15 minutes. So I usually do our final check on that around 4:15. Oh, let me get back to the comments. I'm in where all of these things are. All right, perfect. So that thing up in the top corner, I guess we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. So the DeBomb. So up here in the corner of our screen, we got DeBomb 5 out of 25. So that is our countdown to DeBomb right here, DeBomb. So what happens is, if we get to 25, so those are like supers, like super stickers, super chats. Also, if you're not here live and you want to do like a super thanks, I'll count those as well towards the DeBomb thing. But if we get to 25 before the end of January, I will be taking a whole teaspoon of that live on the air. That will be more than I've taken before. And you guys have seen the reactions before. They're definitely funny. Jonathan says, good music choice for the Starbucks short. The funny thing is I wanted to do with that short, I wanted to do that whole, the Benny Hill one, that goes. Anyway, I don't want to say too much of it because I could probably get a strike or something. So I had to find something that was copyright free that I could use that had that kind of feel to it. And that was the closest I could get. I probably listened to about 13. I was going to say probably closer to 20. I think I listened to around 20 different music choices, and that was the closest I could get to that feel. So that was kind of interesting there. So it was great. So yeah, I love that. That was like I said, that was a classic show. That's one of the old live streams, guys, that if you haven't seen it, it's worth going back and checking it out. I will mention though, the whole Starbucks thing pretty much happens after the first hour. The first hour, just a normal every day this week. It's in the second hour. That's when that all happens. But if you're curious to know where that was March 24th of 2024. That's when that show aired. So definitely awesome. Larry says, I think we've been in the dynasty phase of the empire for the past 40 to 60 years. Maybe. Guy says, love the quantum mechanics, or yeah, well, technically investing. Quantum investing video, insightful. I'll tell you, one of the hard parts about making that video is that one of my one of these things that I love that's kind of a side, that's not a side hustle, it's just a side information thing, is I love quantum mechanics. So I know a lot about it. But I was like, as I started writing the script, I'm like, I really want to go in and explain how you can have something on and off at the same time. But I was like, no, you don't need to know that for investing. You just kind of need to know that there's this funky thing going on with quantum mechanics that makes the chips faster. That's basically what it all boils down to. So I kind of wanted to just I didn't want to overcomplicate things. And even reading some of the things that some of the companies do, it was like, wow, some of these are like mouthfuls. Like I will have people who are like, what the hell does that company do? You just told me, but I don't know what that is. And that's fine. That's fine. So that was kind of that interesting thing. Now that video, guys, that was Funny Books requested that video because we had our contest at the at the 500, the 5,000 sub celebration. That we did that big Jeopardy like thing. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, we had Funny Books come in second place. And initially, Funny Books wanted a nuclear investing, but they changed their mind. And we went to quantum, and I'm glad. I'm glad they did, because that was a good topic. Though I still do want to do a nuclear investing one, so that will be coming probably soon. Let's see. Harry says, watch a D-Wave all day. Yeah, so it was great. Here's the interesting thing. So we did have a big crash in all of the stocks that I mentioned in that video. So I was, and it's funny, as I was editing it, and it just there was just a big crash. Now I got in on the crash, which is great, but I did add one of those stocks, D-Wave actually. I added them to the 0 to 100K challenge, and part of the reason I added it was not because I think it's a great opportunity. It might turn out to be a fantastic opportunity. But when the next video drops around the beginning of February, I think the topic of that video is going to be speculative stocks. So I wanted to get at least one speculative stock into the portfolio for that purpose, so that I could talk about it a bit. So anyway, that's just looking ahead into the future a little bit. We got about 7 minutes. Excuse me. We have about 7 minutes before we'll check on the market and see where things finished up for the day on that. So that's going to be fantastic. I also wanted to mention another thing here. We had nobody take the subscriber sponsored video this month. So that slot is empty. I haven't filled it yet. So, I'm trying to think what I'm going to put in there. I think part of it is, was the price. I think the price sort of killed it. Because I know last year we did it for $20, and we changed it to 25 on the 1st of January, but kind of thinking we should have just left it at 20, and we probably will. So the next time around, I think it will be back to 20. So yeah, that there, I have to figure out what I'm going to put in that slot. I'm going to come up with something special though, something different, because I'm like, subscriber sponsored video probably would have been something a little bit different. So we'll put that in. There is a vote, guys. If you want to vote for the next deep dive outside of that, I think it's on the 24th. I did post that today. So you can go in and throw in your 2 cents and see who is going to win. I did put up this time around, instead of pulling it from the pool, I looked at companies that we haven't done a deep dive in a while. So all of these companies have not had a deep dive in the last year, and they're good companies. So that's where they came from. So I thought these ones are all overdue. Let's see if we can get one of them out of the overdue category. So that's going to be fantastic. So I can't wait for that. Yeah, so that'll be fantastic. So guys. I had something else on the tip of my tongue. I'm not sure what it was, but that's fine. It's a Friday. It's a slow day. Just sort of watching the dip as things go. Just give me a second here. Let's pull this up here for a second. And I actually want to, there we go. What is this? Oh, I was like, why is Canadian Railway going up? But it's because we're looking at the 10-year. So, but oh man, that's a really good buy right now. So this is a good dip on CNR. So this is also, by the way, CNR is one of the ones that you can vote for right now. So, maybe you might be looking at CNR. It's kind of a funky thing. All right, but that is not what I wanted to look at. I actually wanted to take a gander here at HMM.A because they did a big retracement today as well. Like, take a look. That's just today. I want to pull up there. There we go. So this is kind of one of these interesting stocks. Like, I love Hammond. I love both of their companies. So you've got, of course, Hammond Power Solutions, HPS.A, and Hammond Manufacturing, which is HMM.A. Now, the nice thing about these companies is they kind of complement each other. So a lot of the enclosures that HMM.A makes are used, of course, by HPS.A. So they tend to work together. Now, HPS.A is right now doing a lot better because the issue we had with HMM.A is that they had this big giant explosion. So they kind of over zoomed in a way. Then of course they had a deep correction, and they've been down a little bit. Now I'm still in the green because I think I bought in pretty much down in here. So I'm still in the green with them. I'm still very bullish on them too. So it's just one of these things I tend to think about. So this to me is still a good stock. I'm still pretty bullish on it. I think we're still going to see some pretty good movement on this in this year. Like when I was doing that video, so the stocks I'm looking out for 2025, I did have HPS.A, but I could easily have put this one in as well. I do think it's going to have a good year. So I know every so often people are always asking me, what's going on with HMM.A? I'm still loving the stock. Very much so. And Jackie wants to know, just interested, why do you prefer CNR over CP? Pros and cons of each. Thanks. Okay. Just to be clear, I do love both of them. I'm a big fan of railroads. Now, they both have. CP. We'll start with CP. So CP, their huge pro, of course, is that they've got tracks that run from Canada all the way to Mexico. So, they're crossing 3 countries. Nobody else does that. And they have contiguous tracks from Canada to Mexico, meaning that you can load your, you can load your stuff up here and you can get it all the way there without having to change trains or anything like that. And that's huge. That's very, very huge. And I think that's a massive advantage for CP. That whole 3 country thing. I think it's going to do really well. Now, CNR, their tracks go pretty far south. They don't go all the way to Mexico, but they do go to the Gulf of I was going to say the Gulf of America. No, the Gulf of Mexico. So they go to as far as the Gulf of Mexico. But what CNR has that CP doesn't is CNR has that presence up north. So up where all of our minerals are and where we do a lot of our mining, that is CNR territory. So a lot of those cars that pull back minerals, critical minerals, regular minerals, all of that stuff is all being transported by CNR. And that's a huge, huge thing. As, of course, we move further and further away from getting critical minerals from people like not even us. I'm actually talking about the US in this case. As the US moves further and further away from getting critical minerals from places like China, that makes that even more valuable. And that's one of the reasons that I really like, because I'm very bullish on mining and basically minerals in general. CNR kind of fits really well into that. That's the reason that I put them over CP. But I will tell you this: I think long term CNR is the better investment, but I think on the short to midterm CP is the better investment. I'll put that there. Now, I will also add this as well. There's a tiny bit of bias in my in my love of CNR over CP, because a lot of my family have worked for CNR over the years. So CNR is one of those things that it's a little biased. It's sort of like it's like if you ever worked at some company for a while and you left amicably, you probably look back with that company and sort of have a fondness, like probably more than if you had to choose between that and a competitor. It's sort of a little bit similar to that. I do my best to be unbiased, and I think my opinion is mostly unbiased, but I always still like to throw that little qualification in there because yeah, it is there. And if I didn't mention it, and maybe there was an unconscious bias that I'm unaware of. So anyway, but that's why I like CNR. It's basically because it does the north is a big thing for that. All right, it's time to look at the final. Oh boy. All right, so as you can see, well, this is nice. This last hour, we did have a little bit of green here on the TSX. So the TSX did finish with some green, so there is a positive note there. I bet you, I am betting that we will see some green to start off the day on Monday. I think that's going to be fantastic. So they did finish 1.22% down. S&P 500, same thing. They also had a little bit of green to end the day. They were down on the day 1.54%. NASDAQ down 1.57%, and we got the green in there as well. Not as much. You'll notice is that they had less green than than the S&P, and they had less green than the TSX. So TSX definitely winning the day there. I did not yet add a blue line to the Dow Jones. I forgot. So I will add one here. 1.63% down, not great. So gold, as I said, gold up, silver up. WTI looking great. I mean, this is a pretty good movement. So if you are holding some WTI, so I know 9 holds QQCL, a lot of that. QQCL probably had a pretty good day today, so not too shabby. In fact, why say they probably had a pretty good day when we can just go right over here to QQCL. There we go. Let's take a look here. Oh, maybe they didn't have a great day. Well, I guess if they began down in here, yeah, if they began in the morning, they had a little bit of a bump today, so not too shabby there. All right. And Bitcoin, like I said, Bitcoin having a pretty good day. A little bit of green, still down below, and down below right now the moving averages. So hopefully over the weekend, Bitcoin can get on the upper side of this. That would be nice. Start to make up that move back towards 100,000. I think with crypto, as long as the next big resistance zone on the way down, of course, is at 90,000. If they pump through 90,000, it's a little concerning, but if they break below 88,000, that to me then I would be a little bit more concerned right now. But I think they'll be fine. I think they will be fine. All right. And our heat map, once again, as you can see, we had a lot of red. Let's just take a look and see who the big winners. So of course, we'll even get rid of the 1%. So you can get Suncor, Imperial, Bombardier did okay today as well. Look at this. Blackberry. Oh, nice. So Blackberry up 2.80%. That was one of the more surprising ones when I was doing today's video. Blackberry came up in that list, and I was just like, oh, is Blackberry about to become relevant again? But yeah, up 8.8. Sorry, up 2.8. Aritzia This is a big one. Aritzia, their earnings came in and they they exceeded earnings by like 70%. So yeah, 19.07. And let's just take a look at it over here. Let's see here. Right, ATZ. Yeah, look at this. A nice big jump. And this is what I love. I love this. If we get a big jump and then it keeps going up, that's always pretty strong. So Aritzia had a great earnings. You know, there's no denying that. No denying that at all. All right. So yeah, and Canadian Tire, not a bad one either. So you got to like it. You got to like it. All right. Woo. Let's not do that. All right. And of course, on the US side, who did good on the US side? Let's take a gander here. Eli Lilly did okay. Walmart, Costco, Home Depot, Meta. Meta's kind of the lone tech today that did okay. So not too shabby at all. And as of course, crypto, everybody did pretty much okay on crypto. So what can you say? What can you say? I'm liking it. I'm liking it. All right. RD says, word to the people. Yes, thank you for the quantum vid. Thinking of entering QTOM or Honeywell. Yeah, QTOM is good. One of the things I do like about QTOM is that even though they have quantum in their name, they're not just a quantum ETF. They also invest in AI. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. So that is not too shabby. Let's see, Blackberry. For some reason, I see burr, and it makes me think of the French word for butter. I don't know if it's spelt that way, but that's what I was thinking. I was thinking black butter. Let's see. Are you still working on a Mountain Finance mug? I'd like one to read not too shabby. Oh, yeah. Let me. I will do that. I will do that. Right now, I have the one mug. I have the Trump mug, but yeah, not too shabby would actually be a nice mug. Let me ask you this, Funny Books. Since you're requesting the not too shabby mug, do you just want the words "not too shabby," or do you want do you want a beaver in there, or tell me how you want it to look. Give me an idea what you want it to look like. And here's the thing, guys. As we move more into merch, if you're looking at a merch piece and you're saying, "Gosh, I'd love to have that, but I really wish it had, I wish it was in this color, or I wish it was, whatever changes you want, you can let me know. I can probably go in and change it for you." So, I I don't know if anybody does that, but I'll do it. I'll do it. Why not? Obviously, if it gets overwhelming, like if everybody and their dog, like if I get like 100 people who say, "I want a not too shabby mug, but here's the hex code for the color I want," and I get 100 of them, but I don't think we're going to get 100. A Funny Book says, a beaver with not too shabby, maybe looking at the markets. Oh, all right. So a beaver looking at, obviously it has to be a green market, maybe, saying not too shabby. All right. All right. Now, give me a second here. I am going to do a quick little screenshot of this. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, we can do that. That's not a big problem at all. That would be kind of fun. All right. Well, guys, this is, of course, the gateway to the weekend. So if you got your final questions, get them into chat. We'll take care of those going from there. Doesn't necessarily mean we're leaving right away, because sometimes the final questions keep us going for another hour. Sometimes they don't. It's up to you guys. I'm here if you guys want me to be. That's the way I look at it. While you guys are doing that, I'm gonna have some coffee. Oh, that's so good. That is so good. Let's see. Mary wants to know where you would park some cash. So right now, in the 0 to 100K challenge, I'm using the cash ETF. So let's actually Let's bring up a page here. We're going to go into Canva. Here we go. Perfect. All right. I now want to go to the whiteboard. I love my whiteboard. I'm glad that Canva has a whiteboard. Oh, there's all these custom ones I can do as well. But there's a couple of ways I handle it, right? So as we're in a market where, we're still technically in a bull market and people are saying, oh my God, looking at it today, we're not in a bull market. No way. Well, we are. It's still a bull market. So what I do in a bull market is, of course, I will, let's go over to the draw. I will continue adding. So in this case here, I'm using cash. So cash, I'll just write it down. CA. There we go. SH. And that's actually the ticker, by the way, guys. So I'm using cash. They've got about I'm just going to put 4.x because I don't know the exact dividend, but that's roughly what their dividend is right now. Somebody told me it was going down, and I just haven't seen it go down yet. I'm still getting about the same amount I normally get. So I haven't really done anything to it. So how I do this is let's just do this and that and this. So, all right. So this is your typical market shape. So here is your bull market. Here's your bear market and another bull market. So while I'm in a bull market, what I'm doing is regularly I am adding to cash. So I'm putting in, each time I get here, I'm adding to cash, I'm adding to cash, I'm adding to cash. So I'm building up my position, of course. So I love it. I love it. So as I'm building up my position, and here's the thing, right now, like when I initially started, I'll just give you the numbers I'm using in the 0 to 100K. So the 0 to 100K, of course, we're building that up. It's got a limited budget on it. So we don't have a lot, but I initially started with like one share a month, one share a month, one share a month. Now in the next 0 to 200K, you'll actually see I have moved up to 2. And going forward, it'll be 2 and 2 because we're starting to get closer to a bear market. And now, doesn't mean I think, guys, that, we got 3 months until the bear market. I have no idea where the bear market may very well come over here, in which case I'll probably still be at 2. And eventually I'll get to, as we get further along, I'll probably move up to 3 because that's what I do. At the beginning of a bull market, I'm just putting bare minimum in, slowly building it up. And the longer that bear market goes, or the bull market goes, I know we're getting closer. So I start to increase how much I start putting into my cash. So when we do get to that, the bear market, we use purple for that, and we start to go down like normally. So here's the thing. We got corrections that happen, right? So, to be in a bear market, we pretty much need to go down about 20%, 20, 25, that type of area. So then I'm going to start here. I'm going to start taking from those cash. I'm going to start taking, and, I'll probably do, because that's where I'm going to be doing my buying as we're heading down, and I may still be buying a little bit here because, this may feel initially like we have it might feel like, basically a bull bounce or a fake bull. I may be still buying a little bit here. And then once my cash comes out at this point, once I realize, basically when we're about 20%, 20 to 25% up, at that point, I'm going to once again start, I guess I should have changed the color. There we go. I'm going to once again start to do my thing again. So that's kind of how I handle it. Now, I'm using one cash ETF because I'm using it for this reason. Now, if you're a person who's using, let's say, all right. Okay. So if this is your TFSA, there we go. Bang, boom. If you're using, if you're parking cash, but then pulling it out and parking it and pulling it out, and you're buying every little dip that comes along, Well, in that case, you probably need more than one. So you might have, we'll go with green. So you might have your cash in here. So this is cash. You might also have another one, like say, for example, I'll go with PSA. Because what you could do is if you're buying every dip that comes along, we'll put a dip in here. You could buy, you're contributing into here, you buy that dip. Once you bought that dip, we have this whole thing that you can't buy something back within 30 days of selling it, because if you do, that causes the CRA to look at you. And if they look at you, they're usually looking because they think you might be day trading, and that can have ramifications in your TFSA. So to not get the CRA looking at what you're doing, generally what you'll do is you'll add to this one, and then once you buy the dip, you don't add to this one again. You start adding to this one. So you add to this one, add to this one. Next time you buy the dip, at that point you might want to buy it from here. Okay, and as long as 30 days have passed now since the last time you bought anything with this one, you can then begin pumping back into that one. And you can do that with the two. Now, if you are spending even more, you could always add a third one. I believe, and I could be wrong on this, and I don't think 9 is here today, but I believe 9 has 3. So you could do this with having 3 different cash ETFs. And the nice thing is all of these ETFs are earning you money, but you're parking your cash there. So it's a good way. It's a good way to go. So it's just something you can keep in mind. All right. And Tom says Blackberry has done well if you look at the last 3 months. Oh, yeah, they absolutely have. Whoops. Let's head over to Blackberry for a second. Here we go. Good old Blackberry. And we'll go. Here's their 3-month here. So look at this. So they have, they were down at 339 at the beginning of the last 3 months, and they have done well. So they're doing fantastic. And this is the thing, as we get further along with these quantum, and this is the real danger right now, as far as I know, the only quantum chip we currently have is Willow, which is the one that was introduced, of course, by Google. So once we start seeing more of those, then I'm going to feel a bit more confident with some of these quantum things. Now, BlackBerry is working in a lot of the whole aspect of security, like what's going to happen, because think about it this way. Once quantum chips become in the hands of nefarious people, they're going to want to use them to break algorithms, to break security, to break passwords. So one of the concerns, and not the only concern, but one of the concerns that BlackBerry is going to address is with cars. So the last thing you want is somebody using quantum computing to hack into your car, and start doing nefarious things, like, for example, taking control of your car while you're driving and making you have an accident. Or if they're a terrorist, gosh knows what they could make you do. So that's kind of one of these things. We want that security against all of that from happening. So I would, I think as this goes along, I think BlackBerry is now positioned to become, and I said it in the video, I think they're positioned to become relevant again. And I hate to say it because it's, a couple of years ago, if we were talking about BlackBerry, we were talking about Wall Street bets. But no, I think they actually do have, I think they have a chance. I'm liking it. Missy says, this last month has not been fun. It doesn't feel like a bull market. That's Missy, that's the thing. When you look at bull markets, you will have downswings in a bull market, just as you will have upswings in a bear market. So it is normal. So don't worry yet. And I know that you're still grasping with things like FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, versus FOMO, fear of missing out. So I know that you're kind of still working on getting the emotion part under control. Just don't give into panic. Don't give into panic. Even if it's a matter of like, if you feel like you're going to give into panic, track me down, track me down. I'm on the air enough, and heck, even if you leave a message, most times I usually will get it fairly quickly. But whatever you do, just don't give into your panic, because the last thing I want to see is you realizing losses that you don't have to. Why is TD so frustrating? Well, there's a lot of bad public image around TD at the moment. And then it all goes back to the whole money laundering issue that they had and all of the fines that they had. It's probably going to take at least 6 months to a year before people start to kind of forgive them. Right now, I think it's still too raw, and that's not helping them. Keep in mind, too, that a lot of their expansion plans into the US were kiboshed because of these money laundering things. So that's not good as well. So that's sort of like, if you stop a growth company from growing, it's never good. So TD, they will be fine on the other side. And, if you're patient and you're a long-term investor, these are great prices. These are great prices. There's nothing wrong with scooping them up at this point. All right. Vineet says, I have my own ticker. The dividend is 5%. Nice, nice. Okay, Anchor says, Candace, to understand you correctly, you're saying you're not allowed by CRA to fully sell all stocks of a certain stock and then buy it again within 30 days. Yeah, so what happens is, let me sort of put this into perspective again. We'll go back to the we'll go back here. All right, let's go down here. So, all right, when you sell a stock, so let's talk about day trading first of all. So with day trading, I'll just put DT for day trading. Generally what you're doing is I'm just sort of, let's just say this was your movement of your stock. So generally with day trading, what you're actually doing is you're coming in here and you're looking to, you're looking to buy your stock here. And keep in mind, this is not long-term movement. This is like days, like even the same day. You might be buying it here and you may be selling it here. And then you're pocketing that profit right there. So for example, if this was, let's just say for simplicity's sake, that's $1 and this is $2. Well, you've just doubled your money. So you're taking that away. Now, normally you're not grabbing that amount, but you take it. So let's just say you are gaining $1, but you're trading 1,000 shares. Well, that means you've just earned $1,000 in, however long it took to go from $1 to $2. So in your TFSA, it's not designed for business. So your TFSA is designed for savings. SAVINGS. So that's why we get that tax-free. So it's a tax-free saving. So if you're in your TFSA and, let's say, for example, let's say you're buying a stock at, at 10.20, it goes up and then you sell it at 10, let's say 30, and we'll say you sold a lot of them, but it went up 10 cents. So you're basically creating a profit by doing that. Now, if all of a sudden it goes back down to 10.20 and you buy it again, that is what a day trader would do. So when they look at it like this, they're like, oh, you're doing this to make money, and that's why they sort of look at it and say, oh, that's a business activity. You're using your TFSA to make money. Because normally what will then happen is if it goes back up, let's say it goes up to 10, well, let's say it goes to 10.35. Well, yeah, guess what? You're selling it again, and then you might buy it back if it's down here at 10.15. So, and that's a day trading pattern. So when you buy it, now, normally with swing trading, so this here with day trading, this happens same day. Like day traders might be making 100, they might make 100 trades in a single day. If, because normally they're not just buying one stock. They might be working on 3, 5, 10 stocks, who knows? But The way the CRA looks at it is that if you're selling, we'll say you're selling Banana Co., my favorite little stock there. So if you sell Banana Co., and you buy it back within 30, why 30? That's the number that they look at. I don't know why they chose that, but basically they're saying a month. If you're buying it back within a month, they will look at that as being business activity. Now, if you buy it back in 31 days, let's put a B31, that's fine. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, they decided to invest back in this one again. That's okay. They don't, whatever reason, they looked at 30 as being kind of that thing. So if you do it once, you're probably not going to get flagged. You're probably not going to get in trouble. But when you start doing it a lot and you start doing it frequently, they will look at it. So if they look at your TFSA, and let's say you were kind of doing day trading, let's say you started doing it January 1st. And they look at it, let's say they looked at it in February. So they looked at it, let's say they caught you February 1st, and they talked to you, and you stopped doing it February 1st. But what they would then do is they would then block that time off in your TFSA, and they'll remove your tax-free status for that day, for that period of time. So all trades made during this time would be considered would be basically business income. So let's say in this time, even though you were doing this, let's say you went and sold another stock. Let's say you had a Canoe and you decided you wanted to sell Canoe. And, here's the downside. If you had sold Canoe outside of your TFSA, you'd be dealing with capital gains on your profits. But because they have deemed that you're using this for business during that period, instead of paying 50% of your gains, instead of getting taxed on 50%, it would be considered business income, and you're going to get 100%. So you'd be taxed on 100% for that reason. So that's why you don't want to do it. Now with the 30 days, and I will tell you personally, I don't even use the 30 days. I go 31 just to make sure that there's no danger. Now, if you did it once and you did get flagged and they looked at it and they saw you did it once, they're probably not going to do anything to you. Usually they're looking for a pattern, to see that you're doing it consistently. But here's that thing. You don't want them looking at you. Even if you just did it the once, you really don't want them looking at you. So it's best to try to avoid it, because, when they look at you, they may look at you and say, okay, no, they didn't do day trading, but might as well audit them. Why not? And you don't want to be audited. So just something to keep in mind. Hopefully that's clear. If it's not, ask more questions. Black butter to the moon. There we go. Usually if your butter, guys, if you have black butter, throw it out. Throw it out. It's probably spoiled. Bismarcky says, hello, all banana bread crew. Hope you all had a great weekend and even a better weekend. Had a great week, sorry, and even a better weekend. There we go. An RRSP, great question. So in your RRSP, whoops, there we go. Your RRSP, everything you put in it is 100% taxable. All right. So everything you put in your RRSP, it's 100% taxable. Of course, you don't pay the taxes until you withdraw. Because of that, they're getting all that money. They don't care if you day trade. You can day trade in your RRSP, no problems. And you know what? Here, let me I'll put a green here so we can put a nice. Oh. So yeah, you can day trade in your RRSP because everything you make from day trading in your RRSP is going to be 100% taxed when you pull it out. So you're allowed to day trade, swing trade in your RRSP. So you're fine. But keep in mind, when you are doing, like if you're getting into serious day trading, it's really easy to lose a lot of money. And that, if this is all of your investment money, you kind of want to be a little careful. So But yeah, you can day trade in your RRSP, no problems whatsoever. Let's see. I bought baby super high during that GameStop time. Glad I kept it. Yeah, absolutely. Um, that was kind of that thing. Back during the whole GameStop, during the whole Wall Street bets, that was a hard situation, guys, and I'll show you why. Just give me a second here. All right. This is our y-axis, our x-axis. No, sorry. Make you guys feel like you're back in school. But no, the situation at that point in time is like they were picking stocks that basically the institutionals were putting shorts on because these were stocks that were doing really bad. So they were creating something called a short squeeze. So yeah, you had a stock that was pretty much down here, really not doing much. Institutions were betting that that stock was going to go lower. So the people at Wall Street Bets, they would organize and say, let's all buy it and we'll force the price up. So, they force that price up. And as that price goes up, all of the institutional investors who are, they're basically shorting it, all of a sudden they're getting liquidated and they have to, because when they're shorting it, they don't even own the stock, right? So they're doing they're doing naked stuff here. Naked meaning they don't own the stock. All of a sudden they have to buy the stock to give it to whoever bought the contract, whoever bought the short. And because they had to buy it, that was pushing the price up even higher. So that was fantastic. And some people were lucky. Usually the people who knew about this and who got in nice and early, they were selling. They'd be selling in here. So they would basically be selling, getting all of that nice, sweet money. But usually by the time you get up near the top, in some situations, places, for example, like some of the brokers, for example, like Robinhood, a lot of them actually froze the trading on these things. So then all of a sudden you could try to get your money out, but you couldn't. And by the time all was said and done and you had access again, the stock had already come back down nice and fast. So a lot of people got stuck buying up in here. So, and this is, I think, the situation that happened with RD, got stuck up in here, then the price went down. And of course, some of them would give into their fear and say, crap, I'm going to sell. Now, personally, the fact that they kept doing this, I probably wouldn't have sold. I wouldn't have sold. I would be like, I'm going to be waiting for them to do it again. And if they did it again, I'd be the one getting out in that area. But now we're at a point where all of a sudden BlackBerry's starting to do good on their own without the help of Wall Street Bets. So, if you did get caught up in here and you're still sitting on that bag, you may very well get your chance to get back out and maybe even make a profit. So that's not too shabby with the way things are going. But that's kind of that whole Wall Street Bets thing. Unless you were in, by the time, like if you heard it, that it was happening, it was too late. It was too late at that point for you to really make money. Now, if you knew it was going to happen, so if you were in the Wall Street Bets community and you knew, okay, yeah, tomorrow at open, we're all going to be buying. Yeah, you could have easily gotten in. And then, the big thing would have been, and this would have been the most difficult thing. If you were one of these people buying in here, you want to get out before all of stuff like this happens, or you also want to time it because when all of a sudden all of the other people start to get out and that price is going to come back down. So you kind of have to be very careful to not get caught up by this thing. It's greed because that's what will do you in. If you're into something like this, you got to park your greed at the door. So you get in and maybe, you let the price go up a little bit and you start getting out. Even though that price is going to go all the way up there. And you might be, when it's up there, saying, oh my God, I wish I would have stayed. But no, because Robinhood had already frozen, suspended trading. And plus, even if you try to get in here, this part here happened fast. It's not like, it was like a slow fall down. It wasn't. It was like jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. So you kind of in these type of situations. Personally, I try to avoid the whole thing. Like I did take advantage of one though, and that was just by dumb luck. And that was a Weed MD. For some reason, they decided to pump that one morning. I happened to be online. Now, I had a small bag in them because everybody thought weed stocks were going to go up. Like I don't do weed or anything like that, but I don't mind. I don't mind making money. So I happened to have Weed MD when this happened, and I just noticed it starting to explode up. And I was like, "Uh-oh, this feels like a Wall Street bet thing." So I saw it going up, and I got in and I sold right away. And amazingly, my sale by the time it got processed ended up processing right at the top, and then it fell. Nothing got suspended on that one, but I made a nice profit on Weed MD. And I was listening to other people who were, around the community at that time, and they were all like, I missed that, everyone missed it. But I made a profit on it. I was happy. But it was dumb luck. I just happened to be there. Happened to have my charts open, happened to see it happen as it began, and jumped on it immediately. Once because it was moving fast, I jumped on it immediately and I just lucked out. So sometimes dumb luck is not so bad. All right. Vineet says, imagine if you didn't have to worry about bull or bear market. Yeah, but so I guess in that world, if everything always just went straight up, though, I mean, investing would be very easy. You just buy something and you just wait. You wait. Okay, let's see here. Hey, Candace, can you explain the 30-30 rule for the TFSA for day trading? As I understand, if you can't purchase a stock within 30 days of selling it, and you can't sell within 30 days of buying. Yeah, I mean, in the TFSA, though, here's the thing. When it comes to selling, so if you bought it and then you sold it right away, that some people will actually say you should wait 30 days before you sell. I've never really seen anyone ever get into trouble for selling it. It's usually the buying back. So if you bought it and it went flying through the roof, for example, and you sold it, you're not going to get in trouble. But buying it back, that's the issue with it. So I have heard people talk about the 30-30 rule, but I've never seen any evidence that they've ever gone after anyone for selling, within 30 days of buying. It's that buying back. That's the key. That's the key part. So you want to definitely, and I always say 31 days just to be on the safe side when it comes to buying back. Now, mind you, most people are probably, as far as I'm concerned, like, it's going to be very rare, I think, where you buy something and it's going to go through the roof immediately. But if it does, you're fine. You're fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Let's see. Crypto token. Is AQN jumping back? Algonquin. Now, Algonquin, here's the nice thing. Like, I dump on Algonquin a lot because they have been a dumpster fire for a while. But, and here's the key but on that, you do have to realize that a lot of their business is in the US and it's highly regulated. So that does provide some amount of support for them. So let's actually pull them up. I haven't looked at them in a little bit. They will, I think they will recover. And some of the moves that they have made in the past, are not bad moves to try to get things back on track. But let's take a look here. Yeah, look at this. They keep finding new ways to get lower. It's one of these companies, I think there's not much room for them to go lower. Like, there really isn't. So, but, it's kind of like BCE. Every time I think they can't go lower, they buy a new shovel. But in the case of Algonquin, I really think there's not much room for them to go lower. Here's another thing, too, to keep in mind with Algonquin. So rate cuts are really good for utilities. And they have pretty much ignored that now, because this is the last year. So, from about right about here, This is where the rate cuts began. And they had a little bit. They had a little bit of a growth, and then they just went absolutely downhill from there. So this is one of these companies that it's hard. It's hard every time. Um, every time I want to start dollar cost averaging again because I think, yeah, they're getting ready to turn. They don't. Now, maybe if they do have a big turn, somebody who's down here right now, dollar cost averaging, they could have a fantastic return on this. But, and just to give you a general idea, guys, let's go back 10 years. Here's a company that at one point was up about $17. I'll tell you guys another thing too. When I am looking at where a company was, and I get these little loops up here around, between 20 and 21. This here is basically when all of these pandemic supports were happening. So I usually ignore these big top bumps in this just during this time frame. And I sort of say, let's just write that there off as, pretty much pandemic supports. And you can see right here is where the pandemic drop happened. So before the pandemic drop, though, look at this. They were doing absolutely crazy. But then they had that drop, and everything has been, kind of downhill since then. Will they ever get back to 17? It really boils down to a couple of things. One, I don't know how much dilution they've done. If they've done a lot of dilution, then maybe that's not reasonable. But I think what is reasonable is I think getting back to 13 someday would be reasonable. I just think it's going to take them a while. So if you're dollar cost averaging into here, be prepared to hold them for a while. You'll probably will get a return on the other end, but you will have to fight your emotions for a while with this one because you'll feel like, am I just throwing money away? That's how you'll feel, I think, until they do start to finally bounce back. But right now, oh boy. TD had a nice day today. Yeah, I think they were one of the companies that was actually up today. Let's pull TD. Here we go. Up, 0.28%. So here we go. After they had this nice little drop, but they're back up. So yeah, absolutely. Let's see. A great Mountain Finance mug to have would be one with Mr. Math. Ooh, that's all right. I'm gonna clip this one here. Let's grab it. All right. Yeah. Mr. Math, I think, would be a good one as well. And it's actually funny. When I created Mr. Math, he really wasn't supposed to be around that long. I just brought him in as kind of a fun little thing. But people really liked him more than I was anticipating. He wasn't really designed to be in a long-term I guess channel character, but you know how it happens. It just happens. Let's see. Can you share your top pick for 2025? A few. Well, I just did a video on that. So definitely check that out. I'll give you the link. All right, here we go. Give me 1 second here. I just have to grab it from here. All right. Now these are, there we go. So yeah, these are my top total return stocks for 2025. I will probably sooner than later start to do an ETF one. Actually, I think Monday I'm doing an ETF one. So on Monday, I'll be dropping my favorite ETF, growth ETFs first. We're going to start with growth, and then we'll move into income. All right. Missy says, thank you, Candace. I will contact you next time. As you know, I sold off once already. I do know that. And I'm pretty easy to get in contact with. So definitely. Enid is in the house. Good afternoon, everyone. Always good. Let's see. New mistake, I confess, but hey, I haven't sold my BB. All right. Well, I'm hoping you get a chance. Let's see. Weed stocks, buy and sell high. I get the joke. I see what you did there. Let's see. Hood shut off the buy button on GameStop. Hood sucks. Yeah, there was a lot of people really angry at Robinhood for that move. A lot of people. So yeah, Yeah, that was a bad move. That was a bad move. And I have seen, like, I know I used to do a lot of day trading, and sometimes I would have days where even National Bank, where I use their brokerage for the day trades, um, there would be days where I would be trying to move nice and quick, taking advantage of something, and their whole system would just bog up on me, and I'm like, no, no, and I'd be watching the move that I made that I would have been able to take advantage of disappear, and it used to suck. It would suck when that happened. Missy says, I should not be sitting on cash. I'm scared to put it all in. I know it's better to be in the market, but well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like I've been talking about, Missy, right now, you should be in a position of building a little bit of a cash, cash position, because we will go into a bear market. And keep in mind, having cash when we go into the bear market, that's where the big deals are going to be. So when the market's down 30% and you're buying some really good stocks with a 30% discount, on the other side, when we go back into the bull market, and they're going to gain back that 30%, and usually more. Now, mind you, the last bull market going into bear market, so basically from the pandemic up until 2021, we had a couple of other issues. So normally, a lot of stocks did not make back those highs, but that's for one simple reason. That was a whole bunch of free money that was pumped into the market through all of the pandemic supports, pretty much. Well, Canada had them, the US had them. That was a lot of extra money that was pumped in there. So the numbers were a little bit bigger. So when we went into this bear market, a lot of people thought it was like a big drop. And it was a fairly big drop, but even the drop wasn't as big as we really think. This last bear market was not a bad bear market. It looked worse than it was because you were also filtering out the pandemic supports, as people, especially when the supports ended, people had to pull that from stocks and wherever they put it to get the money back to pay for like simple things like rent and all of that fun stuff. And that will be, it'll be interesting. But here's the thing. Yeah. I mean, if your entire position right now is cash, well, there's probably, that's probably too much cash for sure. But it doesn't, you can have a certain amount. Like I think at this point in this bull market, sorry, somewhere between 5 and 10% cash, I think, is good. As we get a little bit further along, like if you ask me 6 months from now, I'll probably be saying 10 to 15% is probably good. All right. Tom says, I put some US money into Agoro last week, been trending up, but this is a junior miner spec, which is as close to a slot machine as you can get, I think. Yeah, and that happens. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Like, guys, I put down penny stocks a lot. Like I will say I don't do penny stocks or that, but there's nothing wrong with having, I like to call it your play money. So basically having a little bit of money on the side that you can sort of throw at something speculative, and maybe you get lucky. Nothing wrong with throwing something at something speculative and it explodes, but you always do have to be a little careful too, because sometimes it will explode and it will come back down, and sometimes timing will then become everything. So, if you jump into a speculative stock and it explodes, a lot of times you want to understand why it exploded, right? So, for example, let's take a look here at D-Wave. All right. Of course, it's not going to give me the company, and I do it that way. No problem here. I think it's actually QBTS. Let me just say QBTS. There we go. Yeah, D-Wave Quantum. So this here is a great example of it. So I'm going to look here. We're just going to look at the last 3 months. So here was a company, a quantum related company, sitting around $1, a little more like $1.06. And then of course we ran into, Donald Trump getting in, and the Trump pump helped push this up a little bit. But then as we get in a little bit deeper, we start running into all of the quantum stuff, the quantum chip, Willow comes out, all of this, that pushes them back up, and now they've come back down. You know, part of the reason they came back down too had to do, of course, with NVIDIA speech and some of the things that they were talking about. The quantum sector didn't like it as much, and you'll see that most quantum stocks took a nice drop after that whole CES keynote speech. Now, here's that thing. Like, if I bought down here, if I didn't have faith in quantum, or, there's nothing wrong with selling it up here at $10, right? You made a $9 profit. And even now you'd still be in like a good $4 or $5, well, almost $5, about $4.50 or so. You're still in a good amount. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's the way speculative stocks work. Now, quantum, provided this continues, quantum will be absolutely insane. When I say insane, I'm just saying the way it changes the world. Because when you're using quantum computings, so quantum computers they will make the fastest non-quantum computer look like a drop of molasses running against a race car. And that sounds drastic, but it actually is it is true. It's only because computers right now work in binary. It's either 1 or 2, or sorry, 1 or 0, 0 or 1. So it's just, you're basically running a single calculation in a series, just 0 1 0 1 0 1. Well, what happens with a quantum computer is that it uses quantum mechanics. So in a nutshell, it can be 0 and 1, but it can also be both, which probably sounds really weird. But when you get into quantum mechanics, there's a thing called the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. It basically means that we can't know everything about a particle. So we can't, if we measure a particle, we'll only know one aspect. So you can't know exactly where it is as well as its velocity. And that sort of all boils into quantum mechanics. And we get into things like the double slit experiment and how a particle will act like a particle as well as a wave. And it will go through, instead of one hole, if you're shooting at a double slit, it'll go through both holes at the same time. And that's what happens. Now, if you're watching it, though, it only goes through one hole, because the act of measuring basically causes something to fall, basically to collapse into a single waveform. So when it's in that position where it is going through both at the same time, they call that superposition, because it's sort of, think of it as being something up there. We haven't measured it, but it is going through both. So it's really, really weird. And that's kind of the way the universe works. But we've learned how to do that in the form of a quantum chip. So because we can take measurements and we're not stuck to yes, no, or on, off, and we have this new variable where it can be both at the same time, it means that we're no longer constrained to have test one thing. We can test a whole bunch of things all at the same time. And that's where you start to get this exponential explosion in computing power. But anyway, I'm not going to go too much more deeper into that. All right, let's see. My YouTube is still messed up. I can't see what I'm typing. Sorry for the typos. No worries. I have no problem. I have typos too. What brokerage do you prefer? So I love Wealthsimple. It's especially for new people, I think it's fantastic. But when it comes to like day trading or swing trading, I don't like their, the problem is I would never trade on my phone or a tablet. I need my desktop. I need my multiple monitors and everything else when I'm doing trading. So for that reason, I need a good desktop version. And I also need commission free, because I'm not going to pay commission on a whole bunch of trades. If I'm going to make 15 trades in a day, I'm not going to pay 15 commissions on that. So that doesn't leave me with a lot of options. It leaves me with Wealthsimple, National Bank. There's also there's a couple other small ones out there as well, but like Desjardins, they have a commission free as well. But out of the ones I've tried, National Bank just has the agility that I want to make trades a little bit faster. So for trading, yeah, National Bank. For everything else, I'm perfectly fine with Wealthsimple. The other small thing, though, is if you are looking to set up like a do-it-yourself RDSP or an RESP, then you're probably looking at, in that case, you're probably still looking at National Bank. All right. Bill says, Missy, try setting your YouTube settings to light mode and then back to dark. I think that's what got mine back to normal. Oh, there we go. Let's see. I went through 2008, so I'm cautious. Yeah. No, and that makes perfect sense. And you know what? Here's the thing. You can never be too cautious, I don't think. So, conservative investing is absolutely fine. And I am planning to do a video before the summer on defensive investing, because that's one of those things, like when I get the feeling that we're getting a lot closer to the bear market, I'll start getting a little bit more defensive in my investing because it's nice to have a defensive investment going in. And I know, I can't remember who, I apologize, I can't remember who, but I know one of you was talking about one of your strategies is as you head towards as you start to move into like a bear market or into, maybe even towards a recession, that instead of parking your money per se, you start putting your money into your recession-proof stuff. And that's not a bad thing too. I mean, some people might want to just ride it out and not have to worry about buying the dip when they're down there. So there's a lot of different strategies that you can take, but we're going to break it all down. That you can be assured of. All right. Speculating. The question is when to sell. Yeah, it really is. Because here's the thing. It could be going up. Like if it's like, imagine people who got in at the beginning of AI, some of those speculations they may have made kept going for a while. So yeah, sometimes it is knowing when to get out. And that's where, if there's a specific thing that's going on. So for example, you can speculate in two ways. So one, with quantum, and we still have this up here, you can speculate, right? And then if you have a really big news event that's going to make everybody really go gun-ho for a couple of days, you're going to get a peak like this, right? This is going to happen, and you're probably going to get a correction on the other side. You could always sell up here. You could buy back down here. Now, mind you, if you're doing this in your TFSA, you sell up here and you buy back in 31 days. Just one of those things. All right. That and COVID. Oh, COVID was fun. Tom says Candace is nerding out. Interesting, though. Yeah. Sometimes I try to pull back. I try to pull back on how far I nerd out. Because I have to realize my audience, right? Like there's probably a few people, it's like, uh-oh, Candace is talking about quantum mechanics again. It's time to go get a sandwich. It happens. Let's see. Would you mind taking a look at BTQ? Would you class that as a speculative stock, or do you think it's just a growth stock going through adolescence? Okay, let's take a look. BTQ. Here we go. Whoops, I went BTQW. All right, so we're looking here at BTQ Technologies. Okay, so it's on the NEO. I'm going to pull up the year here. So, all right, let's see here. So 44 cents, and then it just exploded. All right, so yeah, there's definitely some speculation there. What did they do? I'm not familiar with this company, so let's see if I can find out here. All right, computer-based technology related to post-quantum cryptography. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely speculation for sure. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Now, let us go into some key data here and see what we have. All right, they don't have a lot of debt. I do like that. So their debt to equity ratio is 1%. That is good. Excuse me, I had a little bit of a tickle there. But I don't have anything here like on their money. So I don't have a lot of data here. So I would be careful with this one for sure. Oh, God. Nothing worse than getting a tickle. Okay. All right, guys. We have had another good stream. Hopefully, you guys all have a great weekend. We will be back on Sunday for this week. Sorry, I just got that tickle. It's like, yeah. But we'll be back on Sunday. We will have a fantastic show as usual, of course. Yeah, until then, I'm going to bid you guys a farewell. Have a fantastic weekend. Oh, I should bring me up big screen as we close things out. So take care. We'll see you again soon. Sunday. Anyway, take care, everybody.